will be quite accurate because that's where, excuse me, you'll find that the different parts of the brain, if you get a book on the neurological disorders and so on, and check the brain out very carefully as to where the different areas are for speech and for eyesight and so on, you'll find if you have a stroke in that area, then that's where the damage will be to the body. Now, the stroke in that area will indicate often where the spots are up here in the sclera of the eye, and you can look for them. Any question there? This is a red spot, by the way. Okay. Okay. Is there anything more there, Anita? How many do we have there? 6 more. Okay. I want to go through these. These are quickies. Just a little tune-up. Okay. Now, the straight indication lines versus the wavy indication lines. Now, here's a straight line. Now, when the line is straight, that's like the blood flow shoots right down through the area. No problem. But if you have a stagnated blood flow where it's slow and sluggish in an area, you'll have this type of a thing right here, just like down in the bottom of a river valley where you have all kinds of curves and debris around the corners and so on. And so the sluggishness in the organ area will be indicated more like this. But if you have a straight shot like this, a straight blood vessel going through there, there's no sluggishness in that particular organ area. And this area here with the straight line will heal much more quickly than the sluggishness of this particular line. You'll find this oftentimes in the thymus, the thyroid, the heart areas, and you find it, frankly, throughout the entire iris of the eye, or the sclera of the eye. Next, please. Okay, if you have a yellow sclera, what does that mean? If the whole sclera is all yellow, what is the problem? Liver problems. And you better check things out very quickly because if you have a jaundice condition in the eye, now if a baby has that yellow condition in the eye, it is still liver. And you can get away from that with a little bit of fennel and catnip tincture. And you put a little fennel and catnip tincture in the little bottle, you know, and have them drink it with water, and that'll clear up the liver within a couple of days, and you lose the jaundice. But in an adult, especially with alcoholics, you see a lot of this all through the sclera of the eye. You have a very yellow eye. That is a dangerous liver condition, a sclerosis of the liver perhaps, and you need to really get on that and straighten that out in a hurry. Next one, please. Now, enclosures. If I had 3 enclosures out here in the sclera, like I showed you 2 days ago in iridology, this one here would be very close to the intestinal area. This would be out in zone 3, and this would be further out away from the iris, or from the autonomic nerve root. But this would go directly into the center of the pupil. Okay? Next slide. Okay, this one here is a Pickawilliam. This is a right eye. Okay? Now this is coming in from the outside part and covering over a kind of a white covering of the sclera, like a growth, over the iris of the eye. Next. Pickawilliam. P-I-C-C-A William. Pardon? It's not a pterygium, it's a Pickawilliam. Now here's a pterygium. Now we've still got the right iris, okay? P-T-E-R-Y-G-I-U-M. Pterygium. Now the pterygium will come from the nasal portion of the sclera, the inner medial portion of the sclera, and that'll pull around over here, and that itself will cover up the eye. If it comes over the pupil of the eye, you can go blind and cannot see. It's a fairly simple You just reach in there, and it's a very simple operation just to peel that off the eye, because sometimes it takes 3 or 4 years to get the pterygium by healing crisis back to back to where it was before it caused the problem. Yes. This is the right eye. The nose is over here to your far right, okay? And this comes in from the nasal side of the sclera and covers over the iris. Very, very painful for some people to have the pterygiums. And sometimes a little operation will help them, otherwise it'll save them years and years of pain. Next. Pardon me? The recipe is in the sheet for the which you have in your folder there. When you read through that, there it is. It's all there for the recipe for your pterygium and Pickawillium. And it works. Okay? Abnormal markings. Now, oftentimes you'll have everything from soup to nuts in the sclera of the eye, and you look at a new design, you wonder, my golly, that'll look nice on a tie. You know, and you look at all these little designs that you see from time to time that looks like it's a foreign alphabet sometimes. Okay, make indication of any abnormal markings where they are a deviation from the norm. And you put that material, you know, follow it on in, and you see what's going on in here. Now, Dr. Stu Wheelwright, who did a lot of work on sclerology, swears up and down that when you have these little abnormal markings of all kinds, that often will be a parasite pocket in the body as indicated by his form of sclerology. Now, if I am correct in what I have said, that you take this area and move that directly into the iris, where you take the iris and the sclera together, and you take the close proximity, you will find where the parasite pocket is, which will oftentimes be in the form of a little black hole or a growth where it's like a basketball on top of the fibers. And then these are the things that you look for, and that will tell you exactly which organ to work on with body electronics through the point holding. Next, please. Now, this is one where you always want to cross-reference the sclera with the iris. Now, for example, if I had a dent in here in the autonomic nerve wreath, I'd certainly take a good close look at this particular enclosure here, which if I follow that enclosure directly in, I'm into this particular dent. Now, you might say, well, this enclosure is way out away from the iris, so I would look right back up in here, because remember, this indenture here, this dent or stricture in the autonomic nerve wreath always accompanies and precedes a cancerous condition in this direction going out from the pupil. Got that? Remember from iridology that if you have this type of a thing, which is a parasite-related stricture indicating scar tissue in the wall of the intestine, which would be surrounding the entire intestine area, which the large intestine, for example, which the autonomic nerve wreath does, okay? So I have a stricture going all the way into the pupil. This stricture always will accompany and precede a cancerous condition. So we have to hunt this thing down and take care of that. And in body electronics, we'll talk about how to do that part. But basically, we have to find out where the problem is. And since the enclosure here is not in close proximity to the edge of the iris, we have to go out here a bit. Probably, if this would be zone 3, this would probably be zone 4 or zone 5, out possibly in the lung area. If this is if this is a right eye. Now that's important. Now, Anita, move this over this way, please. It's okay. Okay, now here we have these pretty clear little holes which I mentioned before were like tumors. That's where the fibers widen out and you got a little hole in between these. And you have these enclosures out here. You follow that enclosure directly right into where these tumors are, and you can see them. Now, the further away these are from the iris, talking about close proximity, then this one would be very close into the intestines. This would probably be just outside of the zone 3, and this would be out about size 4 and 5. And so we look for these things and then check our points very carefully, look at our acupuncture charts, take about 6 or 7 different reference books that you can look at for acupuncture and find the points that would correspond to these particular problems, and then go about and correct them. Any questions there? Anybody? Any questions at all? Any questions? Okay, now what I would like to do, some of you have to leave a little bit on the early side. I'd like to take a short break here for a little bit of something. And then those that want to stay for maybe another half hour, I'll answer any questions you have on the subject and help to clarify any of these problems that you might have. So look through your notes and see what you've got as a question, which we'll cover after a short break. Steve.